Hello, my name is Udoka Ezepue, your instructor. Today I'm going to be teaching us how to create a HTML form. Our previous class, you will notice that most of our code are rough. Don't mind that, it's because I'm trying to show you those basic HTML elements or HTML tags. So as time goes on, as the class is going on, the more we move forward, the more I upgrade and make our design to look more better. I can't rush it. If I rush it, you will get confused. So let's start. But before we enter into our IDE, please make sure you've started your WAMP server. If your WAMP server is not running yet, please run it. How do you confirm if it has started working or if it has started running? Go under your system tray, look if you will see the icon. See my own is running. So if you are using WAMP server or XAMPP, please run it so that it will be running under this system tray. Also, how will you check? Open your browser, type localhost, press enter. Mine is working or it is running. So I can now open my IDE. The IDE we are using is NetBeans. So I will open my own. So let's close whatever pages we have here. See this small star by the end of each page that is open. Click on it to close it. Let's create another page called reg form. So right click on top of source files, click new, click PHP file. Now type reg form, click finish. So nothing is inside this reg form. I don't want to start typing those HTML tags again, but I remembered we have it inside about.php. So I'm going to be double clicking on about.php. I'm going to use Ctrl A to highlight everything here, then Ctrl C to copy. I'm going to go back to my reg form, click on it. Then I'm going to do Ctrl V to paste. So if you see, my basic HTML tags are here. This tag is constant. You must do it like this anytime you want to start working on HTML. So on the title, I'm going to change this to what? Registration form. Then let's run this page to see how it looks. Right click anywhere inside this page, click run file. So it is still having about us because we copied this code from about us page. So let's go back and remove it and change it to another thing. I'm going to be writing register now. Then this link here, I'm going to remove it for now. So Ctrl S to save, go to browser, refresh. So it is now registered now. So let's put a background color in this page to look a little bit more beautiful. So for me to do that, I want to create a div to cover this register now h1 and the center. So I'm going to start a div on top of them, and I'm going to come under them and close the div, less than front slash div. So how do I touch this a bit? I'm going to be in this first div that opens this div and give a space a bit. I'm going to start my style. Let me give it a background color. My background color I want to give it is a teal background color. Don't forget, anytime you finish writing a CSS property, you use semicolon to close it. I'm going to save, Ctrl S. Go back to your browser and refresh. So it has given it a teeth color. Let me touch it a bit. Let me add more style. So I want this div to have a height of 700. Height, I'm going to give it 700 px. I'm going to close it with semicolon, save. Open your browser again and refresh. So it has a height. The div now has a height. That's why you see the background increased downward. So I want this div at the edge of all this background color, or at the edge of this background color, or at the edge of this div. Let me curve it a bit. To give it a curve, use a property called border radius. I'm going to give it a 9px. Save. Go back to your browser, refresh. So look at the edge of this background color. You see it has curved a bit. So this register now, I want to give it I want to put an underline to it. How do I do it? You go and look for the tag that is holding that register now. The tag that is holding it is h1. So I'm going to be in the h1 and give a space. Then I will type style. How do you give an underline? You use a property called text decoration. Then what will it accept? Text decoration I want is underline. Use semicolon to close. Save with Ctrl S. Go back to your browser, refresh. So it has given it what? It has given it an underline. Go back to your NetBeans. So I want to now start creating my form. So how do you start creating a form? You start with a tag called form. You close it. So you see the opening of a form tag, see the closing of a form tag. So form uses a namespace or a name identification name. If you want to give that form a name, in the form it accepts another naming called action. So inside this quote of action, you put a page name where you want this form to go to, but we are not going to be doing it now. We'll do that later. Inside the same form tag, it accepts another namespace called method. There's two types of method we use to send information to another page. We use post and also we use get, but those ones will come later when we start working on back end. That's when we will be needing it. But for now, let me leave post on it. So inside this form, I want to start by writing in or coding something we call label. Label tag is a tag in which we use to display an information concerning a particular element. For example, I have a label here. I'm going to close it. I can say name. So it means that under here I want to have an input called name. Input type. Here inside this type of an input has different types. We have an input that accepts only text. We have an input that accepts only email. We have an input that accepts password. We have an input that accepts number. You understand? So anyone you want that input to be, you put its type there. So but this one is text. Then name. Which name do I want this input to have? Let it be what? Full name. Another namespace that this input can have is what we call required. Required enable us to protect this input in the sense that this form cannot submit if somebody did not type something in that input. That is, if this input field is empty, this form can never be submitted. That's why we now say required. Required means this input must have value, or you must type in something there before this form will be submitted. So I will terminate it with / greater than. Input does not have open and close tag. So whenever you start an input, you end it with / greater than. So let's refresh our browser. You see where it is. You see the name. This one is the label. This one is the input. But I don't want it to be there. I want it to come to the middle here. So what will I do? I already have a center tag here. So what will I do? I will just carry this closing center tag and bring it downward to hold the form. So I'm going to highlight this closing center here, use Ctrl X to cut it. Then I have to come under this closing of a form tag, under it, and I will use Ctrl V to paste, then Ctrl S to save. Open your browser, reload it. So you see it has come to the center. So what else should I do? I want to have another input that will hold what? Number. How will I do it? I'm going to come under here and start the label of it. I'm going to say number. Under it, I will create the input of it. Input type, you say number. This one will accept number. Name, you say phone number. Don't worry about why we are putting these names here. This one have full name as the name. This input has this phone number as the name. These names are necessary. We need it when we start working on back end. Then we will make this input required, so that a user that wants to register must enter a phone number. So let's refresh. So you see, we now have what? Name. We now have phone number. But I don't want this phone number to be like this. I want it to go down to the next, let it be under the name input. So in between them, remember when we talk about break line, BR, use it to push a particular element downward. Let it go down. Refresh. You see how it is. So let's make it 2. Copy it and I paste it. It is now 2. The BR is now 2. 1, 2. It means that there will be more. So as you can see how it looks. So this is what? Name, phone number. Another thing, this name label, I don't want it to be by the side. I want it to be always be at the top. I can use break to do it. Can come here and do it. Refresh. After you've saved, go to the browser and refresh. So you see name, that is enter name here, number, enter number here. So let's create another input called select. Select input enable us to have options. For example, if you want user to select male and female, you can use select tag. Let's give this select a name. Let's say the name, let it be gender. Inside it we use options. The first option I want to use, let it be male, and whenever somebody select that male, let this value return male. Another option, open it, close it, give a space, let it display female, and whenever somebody select this female, let it return this value female. So let's give it a label. I'm going to copy this one so that I won't type it again and paste it here. I want to say gender. Save your page, open the browser, refresh. Oh, sorry, there is a problem. Oh, here we're supposed to use break line twice to bring this label down. So you see we have option here, male and female. See, so let's assume this width, this option, this select button here, or select input here, I don't like how small it is. The width, you can increase it a bit using CSS. So in the select tag you can say style, you can now say width. I don't know the width, I don't have it off head, computer will determine, but I will start with 50px. Let me test. Now we save, open browser and refresh. 50px is too small, meaning that I have to try with from 200. When you enter 200px, Ctrl S to save, go back to your browser. So you see 200 is too big, so we can reduce it to 170. You save. So this is how we can get it. Let me try 160. Good, 160 is okay. So another one we can have under here, let's use break line twice. Let's not forget break line twice. Then we'll start another label. Call email, then break line, then its input. What type of input? Email. This type, whenever any type you pick, it means that that input must accept only email. So anybody that put anything that is not an email address, this form cannot submit. It will return error. Name, you can say email address required, so that this input can never be empty. So let's test. Good. What else? Let's break line twice, twice. So let's have a label. Inside the label, let's have password. Break this line so that the input of the password will not be on the same line with the label password. So input type, this one is password. Give it a name. You can give it anything as long as you will remember when you want to start working on back end. You can say my password required. This input must not be empty. Close. Save with Ctrl S. Open your browser, refresh. So if you go to this password now, type now, you see how it is. It's showing dot dot, meaning that here in the type you put password. If you change this type now to text, you save with Ctrl S and refresh this page. Type, you see it will be showing a plain text. So let's return it back to password. So let's break line twice. Another input we can have finally is input type submit value. In the value you write create account, terminate, open browser. So as you can see, we have created a form that will accept someone's name, someone's phone number, the gender, email and password, and the button what create account. So as time goes on, when we start working on back end, you will see this form in action. You can use it to register, to submit whatever data you are going to be entering on it into the database. So as time goes on, we are going to accomplish a full functional website in this our course. So thank you, remain blessed, see you in another tutorial.